Hey everyone, I just wanted to come to you with just a quick talk about serving and the gift of serving. Sometimes many of us can get really wrapped up in life and wrapped up in ourselves and, just get this real focus on uh, what it is we want, what we want out of life. But we know one of the things that we are really told to do in the Bible is to serve, and that can mean many different things. And there's a lot of you who are very generous. You're generous with your money. You are just doing a wonderful and a fantastic job of serving. Now, I want to just share with you just a quick story about myself, and that the greatest times in my life and the times of most spiritual growth and the times when I felt closest to the Lord is when I was serving and serving a lot. And then that got really disrupted about a decade ago. That got disrupted to the extent where I even said, I'm not going to serve any longer. I'm going to stay focused on myself. Having said that, what did that mean for me? Well, it meant cutting back about 50% on how I was serving. Um, and at the end of the day, if you were to measure me against most people, I mean, the pastors of my church and things said, Steve, you serve more than anybody. But the reality was I was holding back. And along with that, there was just a lot of joy being robbed. I used to just say no to opportunities. I was constantly being invited to be, members of the board, or would you help us with this? Would you help us with that? And I was just saying no. And that was where um, I had said, I'm not going to serve anymore. I just started saying no to all the new opportunities that were being presented to me. And I got to tell you that really led to an emptiness. It led to a point in my life where I just wasn't feeling it. Where previously, when I would just give of myself and was serving and doing all different things, there was just, life was full. Life was exciting. One of the things that I want to just share with all of you is that there is this tremendous blessing that's tied to serving people, and especially when it comes to serving people who are less fortunate than you. There's wonderful things out there like the Compassion Organization and things like that, where people are sponsoring a child and they're sending in $38 or $39 a month. But you're giving, but we're not really serving. Um, you know, Many of you are aware of the work that Life in Air has done down in Guatemala. And since COVID, I haven't been involved as much there. Um, Things to, I've also moved, getting acclimated to a new place. My kids are really busy. I can come up with all kinds of reasons why it's not as easy for me to do. But one of my goals in Guatemala, which was sort of met anyway, was I wanted to not only send money in, but I wanted to come in on a regular basis. I wanted to bring other people with me and introduce people to what was going on in Guatemala so that they could come on in and get their hands dirty too, come alongside of the people and serve them and love them and be a part of their life. And, today, my goal was to be a voice for those who didn't have a voice, here in the United States, and bring people in. And many people at Life and Air are involved in the ministry of what's taking place in Guatemala today, and it is something that is changing and impacting their lives in a tremendous way. And but I wanted to do more than just sending money. I wanted to be there and to connect with the people, and to not just connect with them on one trip, but to keep coming back again, to the extent where I can go into Guatemala and walk down the streets of downtown Antigua, and people stop and say, "Hey, Steve," and they pull over or want to give me a hug, and so I've been there enough to have created that presence, and people know who I am. And when I walk into the school, Escuela Integrada, the school that we serve, the teachers and the students will come on up to me and give me a hug, and it's there's relationship. And so one of the things that I want to just talk about when it comes to serving is serving within proximity. Um, all too often, we talk about Guatemala, but we went back to Guatemala regularly so that those relationships could be formed. Serving without relationships doesn't produce nearly as much fruit in either the person who you're serving or for yourself. But serving within proximity, getting to know what the needs are of people around you, and coming alongside and serving in different ministries, or doing something yourself. But maybe it's a neighbor who just has a need where you can come alongside of them and be there for them, whether it's maybe cutting their grass or cleaning their yard or sitting down and having a meal with them. There needs to be a connection point, not just a check. A check is good, they're necessary, it's needed, but that time of connection, where hearts can connect, is where the real ministry takes place and real service takes place. Now, for you, you're doing something, you're making a sacrifice for somebody else, but I have to tell you that, and I think anybody who has been in my shoes can attest to the same thing, that you get so much more than what you give. And to pour out and to be a part of somebody's life and to sow into their life and to give to them reaps a whole lot more fruit and a whole lot more reward than when you just send a check. And the person who's on the receiving side of your serving act is just also changed, but you walk away wondering, like, what did I do? I went out here and I sacrificed, but I got so much more than what I gave. So serving, it's something that's heartwarming, it's filling, it's something that does something for you. But then another thing that is really important when it comes to serving is that it makes all your own cares and worries sort of just seem small. I cannot begin to tell you how many times while we've been in Guatemala with teams of people from Life and Air, when the phrase "first world problems" comes up, sometimes the discussions come up about their issues at home, and their issues at home are issues that people in Guatemala wish they could have. They're not what we consider to be a problem, or what we may struggle with, pair in comparison to the struggles that some people have. And you always used to say, hey, when you think you've got it bad, go find somebody else and serve them, and you'll realize you don't have it so bad after all. But it just starts to give you a peace and starts to put things into perspective. When you start to see discontentment setting in, or worry setting in, and things like that, and you start to realize how good you actually have it. So if I could, I just want to put out there, one of the most life-giving things that you can do is to get on out there and serve, not just with your checkbook, but with your hands, with your heart, to get on out there, make a difference in the world. And I want to encourage it. And so have a blessed day. Take care.